I was working for the Ministry of External Affairs of the Government of India, and they decided to set up an office in Calcutta to liaise with the Bangladesh government in exile. And I was a junior officer at that time, and they were looking for a Bengali speaking officer in Delhi. They needed to send somebody immediately, and most of them didn't want to come down to Calcutta. They felt this was probably, it would be negative for their careers. I have no idea why. And so they said, well, I'm afraid it'll have to be the girl. And I was interviewed to see whether I spoke and read in Bengali, and I said yes. And so I was sent here in May, sent to Calcutta in May 1971. And so establishing the office with the help of the West Bengal government, and then establishing the contacts, finding places for the Bangladesh government to stay in, a lot of logistics. We were working initially through the Deputy High Commission for Pakistan, which became the High Commission for Bangladesh on Park Street in Calcutta. And we were working through, I think it was Mr. Hussain Ali, who was the Deputy High Commissioner, and then he became the High Commissioner for Bangladesh. And then, of course, the government came in, they settled down, President Nurul Islam, Prime Minister Tajuddin, ministers Kamruzzaman, Mansoor Ali, Khundkar Mushtaq Ahmed. The Foreign Secretary was Mahbubul Alam Chashi. Talking to them, basically at two levels. One was the logistic level. There was the Cabinet Secretary was a Mr. Tawfiq Imam, and we were trying to work out the day-to-day nitty-gritty of just survival. And the other level was messages from my government to the government of Bangladesh in exile. So that was my job, and I was there till the end of the year when the surrender took place. And after the Bangladesh cabinet returned to Dhaka, the first Indian delegation came, and I was a lowly scribe taking notes. It was a dreadful experience. Not for me, but what I saw. You must remember I was but I was young at that stage, and one had heard so much, and there was such a lot of hype, emotional hype about Bangladesh and what had happened. And when the seniors were resting in the afternoon, I just grabbed the car to move around the city because I wanted to see what had happened. And it was pretty awful, actually. I had to go to, I was taken to a medical center of some kind, I can't locate it now, where I had to meet the then health secretary to take down what they required in terms of immediate medical supplies. And there were women sitting there with this blank look in their eyes. I mean, it was awful. This is just a memory. A building with a government building, clearly, because it had that yellow paint, and a veranda outside, and along the veranda, and the rooms behind the verandas. Along the veranda, on the veranda, were these women, lots and lots of women. And basically they looked like rural or poor women. And they were very blank, and I asked the health secretary, I said, who are these women? They said, these are women who've been raped and not claimed by their families or thrown out by their families, whatever. It was a horror. It was a real horror. And then I made friends with there were some Bangladeshi journalists. Gradually I got to meet people who could tell me a little bit. And they took me to a showing of a film where somebody had taken a film of, if you remember, the killing of the intellectuals. So this was this big ditch, and there were all these bodies lying there in the film. And we were watching, and they were lifting their heads up, and people in the audience were identifying them. Somebody would say, that is Dr. Rob, who was a heart specialist. And it was really awful for somebody who's not been exposed to violence to see the aftermath of a war. It was really very shocking, and I think that put me off war forever. What the people here suffered, I only got glimpses of because I was looking at it from the outside. It was not, it was like as though it was a little objectivizing what happened here. It is only when you came here, then you realized what people who stayed here, what they went through, bridges broken, and I was doing the economic aid part. Condition of women, the disruption of social life in the villages. It was complete turmoil, post-war, presumably what happens post-war. And a lot of organizational problems within the government, a little bit of difficulty about those who had gone away and then weren't here to go through these terrible 9 months. And then they came back, so I think there was a little adjustment required. And then I told the driver, I said, just take me around, show me. He took me to Shakaripoti and went off to say his namaz. I was landed there alone, I didn't know anything. And then the women came forward and he said, come, we will show you. And there was a lane like this, and there were only the facades of the houses. They looked normal. You went inside, they took me inside, and there was nothing. The insides of the houses were completely in a shambles. And these women took me up a staircase, which was along a facade, if you can imagine. And they were carrying lights, lamps in Brasso cans. And I was so scared that my synthetic sari would catch on fire. And they took me up and they showed it was complete rubble in the inside of the houses. And there was an angan, an open courtyard, where there was a well. And they said, we can't even use that water because there are bodies in it. Now, it was pretty awful. Of course, I didn't know how to react or what to say or what to offer. I did come and report back that, we need to get people from tell the Bangladesh government, because they will need some organizational help, to go and see what individuals have suffered in the city. But they had such a massive job. Coming back now, when I got the information and the letter, I just felt that it was amazing for a country to remember. It's overwhelming in my sense of gratitude that it is a part of my youth. It's a part of the formation of my approach to my worldview, as it were. And somebody says, well done, is absolutely fantastic. As I said, I feel a tremendous sense of gratitude. And I don't know of any other country which has ever said thank you.